Okay, my friends, we're going to be talking about the Merkaba here and some esoteric knowledge. So this is the third Merkaba overview in the package. And this one's going to be kind of like the most abstract, looking into some of the ancient philosophies cross-culturally and like what the Merkaba was seen as. Okay. So the Merkaba, the symbol of it is two tetrahedrons, an upward one, right, and a downward tetrahedron. And this is the symbol of the union of like material, essentially, and spiritual into one. And the Merkaba is the operation of the sun, okay? The Merkaba operation creates a toroidal field, right? This field, this vehicle of light, essentially, okay? And the Merkaba was, revered by, obviously, the Egyptians. The Ka, the Mer, which is like the merger of the waters, of the Ka and the Ba. And we'll get into what the Ka and the Ba means directly from the Emerald Tablets of Thoth. And the Merkaba was also, in Ezekiel's account, and this is from Manly P. Hall right here, thus each human body itself a Merkaba, a chariot of the law. Ooh. So let's dive in, my friends. Essentially, let's start here. The Mer means the merger of waters, okay? And the waters of the firmament. The merger of the waters of essentially like the Ba, which is the essence. Ba is the essence, living forever. You can think about it as like the great spirit, the one soul, right? The permeating field we're sitting within. And Ka is the shadow that man knows as life. Now this in the Emerald Tablets, this is straight from Thoth. Ka is the shadow that man knows as life. That is not a negative statement. What that is saying is Ka is basically this individuated identity we have. And Ka is symbolized by the hands in ancient Egypt, right? Right here, the hands. And it essentially means action, right? It means power, energy, life, action and deeds, symbolized by the arms, right? And the merger of the Mer and the Ka and the Ba is essentially, who art in heaven, kingdom come, thine will be done on earth as it is in heaven, to bring the heavenly will, the will of the Most High, through you, and to live in the Most High. Right? To allow the Ka to blend with the Ba would be for yourself, this energetic vehicle, this field, and like your will, your action, your deeds to be in union with that of your Most High Self, or union with, in alignment with the will of Spirit. Okay. So the Merkaba is when your field and the greater one soul all around you begin beating in union. And this creates an online sun. This is the sun state so often referred to throughout the Emerald Tablets, okay? Yeah. So the sun state. Let's see if we have anything here on the sun state. Yes, we do. This is the Emerald Tablet of Hermes, okay? The Emerald Tablet of Hermes, one of the most revered esoteric texts out there, is all about the operation of the sun. This is the pattern, says the thrice greatest Hermes. Having all three parts of wisdom of the whole universe, herein I have completely explained the operation of the sun. Let's see what the operation of the sun entails. Separate the earth from the heaven, the subtle from the gross, and gently, with great ingenuity, it rises from earth to heaven, and descends again to earth, thereby combining within it the power of both the above and the below. Wow. So he literally just drew the Merkaba symbol, right? First it ascends from the earth to the heaven, and then descends again to earth in his poetic speech there. And separating the subtle from the gross, that can also be translated as separating the fire from the earth, right? And this is what Kabbalah is all about. Ancient mystical Kabbalah is freeing the sparks from the shells, right? Freeing the spirit from the matter. And this is what alchemy is solvet coagula. Basically separating the spirit from the matter, then creating a solvent or creating a crystallized form, and then dissolving it again and bringing everything more into purity, okay? And essentially what happens here, just to reflect this in another ancient like tradition, would be the Ida and the Pingala, right? First it rises from earth to the heavens. This is Kundalini, or the Ida, or Pingala, I forget which one, rising up, right? And then it descends again back towards earth, and where it makes its home in the solar plexus. And the solar plexus is where the Christic willpower sits. The Christic willpower being the true will, the will of spirit through you, the will of the Most High in you, right? And in doing so, essentially you are letting the heavens operate in the earth, and the earth take part in the heavenly game, to see both, to bring the two into one, right? To separate the fires or the subtle from the gross. To separate the subtle from the gross, my friends. Let's see, where are we? Separate the subtle from the gross. This gets into the energy work, and this is where the Merkaba activation package is so powerful, okay? Because separating the subtle from the gross is essentially becoming more and more aware of what is my subtle breath? What is subtle perception, right? How can I breathe this subtle breath? You see, we breathe on all levels, not just a physical breath into the lungs, but we can learn how to breathe, right? Through like a permeating field through our whole being. And in doing so, we learn the powers of perception, right? And the powers of perception is the ability to really like transcend form. To transform is to perceive something beyond, right? And to perceive into the subtle realms so that we can take the subtle breath. You see, the true activation of the Merkaba occurs when the subtle breath can be taken. And the subtle breath, the true breath, this is in Chinese medicine even. Let me hit Chinese medicine real quick here. Boom, bada, boom, ba. Yeah, let's see what they have to say. Okay. Breathing through the process of opening and closing, that is what happens in the gorge of the mystery, the Mingmen, the root of the heaven and the earth. The Mingmen is in between the two kidneys, which in Chinese medicine is the yin and yang, the sun and the moon, right? The root of heaven and earth. Opening and closing here does not refer to the regular action of inhaling and exhaling through the nose or mouth, but to what is called the true breath. The author of Nanjing said, an igniting spark between the kidneys is the origin of the various processes of human life, the base of the body's 5 zong and 6 fu organs, and the root of the 12 channel pathways, the door of the breath, and the source of the triple burner. This is the true breath they're talking about. They're talking about the ability to subtly breathe, the subtle breath, right? The Colburn Bible also refers to the subtle breath and the heavy breath, the light breath and the physical breath, right? So the entire energy work, breath work package is essentially a guide, 12 principle meditations, and a lot of resources guiding us in practices into awareness of the subtle fields. This awareness grows, it's holistic, okay? Because the Merkaba is the will of spirit inside of you, but it is also awareness of the will of spirit. It is awareness of God all around you and learning to breathe him into you, A lot of Rosicrucianism has to do with realizing the true I am, which they saw as the spiritual fire, right? And this is the purpose of initiations. So the merger of the Ka and the Ba, right? So we're sitting in this permeating field of, let's see, what's a good image here? Yeah, here we go. Okay, my friends, we are sitting in a permeating field of ether, okay? This is like the Ba, the essence living forever, and the essence of you, the true self, which is essentially God living forever, right? And our field is dormant for the most part. Most of our DNA, most of our self is dormant because we don't have the powers of perception, awareness, and subtle power basically to breathe in that astral light and learn to become a living sun. If we look at all the saviors and the beginnings of all these mythologies and religions, whether it be Muhammad, you know, the Buddha, Lao Tzu, Christ, Zoroaster, all these messiah types, you know, Quetzalcoatl, what happens is essentially a spiritual evolution to where the awareness of the subtle fields is very prevalent. The subtle breath has been realized and worked through, but also like the morality of living itself. Like, let's go back to the Ka. Real spirituality is morality. Your spirit, soul, self, and character is defined by what you do with what you know. And yeah, you know what I mean? So like they have integrated and individuated their character to be a vehicle of spirit, to be a vehicle of the Most High. And in doing so, they slowly, right, opened up the pathways from the earth to the heavens and the heavens to the earth. And through the powers of perception and seeking and self-awareness and breathing, right, they essentially got to this point where they could balance the left side and the right side. They could balance the polarities to allow spirit to flow into the earth and the earth to flow back to the spirit, to make the two into one, to be a living sun. And when this happens, my friends, you come online. When you come online, the Merkaba starts spinning. And when the Merkaba starts spinning, it literally is God pumping through you and you becoming a living sun here on earth. This is what is referred to as the twice born ones. In you know, the Bible, in the Koran Bible, the twice born ones are born of the water and the spirit. The water and the spirit. The water is in other words, a symbol, a metaphor for chi all around you. The waters and the spirit. The spirit being, you know, the spirit being like basically, I don't know if it's referring to Ka or Ba there. That's hard to like identify. But it's being born of the waters and the spirit, the water and the fire, my friends. The self-awareness and the chi, right? And the waters is the universe, all form. It's the Shakti principle, if you've been following along in the breathwork package up to this point. So yeah, I've definitely hit on quite a few different things, and that was kind of my intention with this video, was to give a brief overview of the Merkaba through a lot of cross-cultural references. I want to end here from Manly Hall. Thus each human body itself is a Merkaba. The four bodies of man are represented by the four heads of the living creature, right? The physical body is the earth, or Taurus, which is seated in the heart. The next is the watery sign of Scorpio, representing an eagle, which has its seat in the human spleen. The third is the fiery or emotional body of man, ruled by Leo, which is in the seat of the liver. And the fourth head, that of the human being, belongs to Aquarius, the principle of mind, which has its seat in the brain. Each of these beasts goes a different way. That is, it has its own surfaces and temperaments, yet together they form the chariot or Merkaba of the spirit. Okay, what's important here, my friends, is realizing that the Merkaba is activated through the balance of polarities. Okay, the Merkaba, so we have polarities, my friends. We have, like, you know, the masculine and feminine. You have the left side and the right side of the body, right? The moon and the sun. Let's come in here. Yeah, so we have the masculine and feminine side of the body, right? And balancing those polarities, balancing within the being itself, you know, the water and the fire, right? The air and the earth, creating balance, and also power to the extremes, holding the container in all of it. And that gets a little bit deep. If you want to go way deeper, go check out the breathwork package or get in touch with me, my friends. I just finished up doing the 2 poles energy work meditation, which is critical for activating the Merkaba. Furthermore, I have, you know, two more teachings on kind of like the esoteric knowledge behind the Merkaba, as well as many practical breathing techniques that we can all use and apply. The subtle system right here, my friends, the last thing I just want to kind of touch on is seeing the process. Okay, so we back here. The last 20 minutes of that video cut out and I got into so much depth, but let me try to finish this up on the Merkaba. So my friends, the subtle system, you know, as seen in the Hindu tradition here, from the Vedas, we have the nadis and we have this arc, okay? So it rises from the earth to the heavens, okay? And descends again back down to the earth. And this process, my friends, what is happening here is there's two birthing portals. There's two birthing portals into life, okay? There's the macrocosmic birthing portal, which is like the third eye, which is Thoth in mystical Kabbalah, right? And then there is the sacrum birthing portal, where Kundalini kind of like rises from, the sexual energy, the creative energy of life. And the macrocosmic birthing portal, which is literally the word, my friends. The word created all. The word, the logos, the word spoken in spiritual truth, you know, from the Most High. Your tongue, Thoth, and your third eye, basically your ability to articulate the word, is the birthing portal of, I guess, almost like the Most High into you, down, right? So this process, what happens is we rise, right, up the Pingala. And this is the solar pole of man, right? And we're going to be talking about balancing the two poles, right? I just got done making, you know, the energy work meditation about balancing the two poles, which precedes the Merkaba activation, because you need to learn about cycling the two fields, okay? Creating harmony in the two fields. But it rises, right? It rises with the fire, right? And it's called up. It's called up to the third eye, right? And it rises up that right side. And then it descends back down to earth. And this pattern, what it creates, my friends, is, I don't know if you've seen this in ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs much, but it's like that shepherd's cane almost. This pattern is so profound, okay? Because it rises like that seed, that chrism oil. It rises and then descends again. And what is happening, my friends, how this process goes down, and what I kind of want to communicate here, is you are born. You must birth yourself into existence, okay? In the heart center, in that heart space. And to birth yourself into existence is to allow the divine Father, right, to be conceived inside of you, and let the divine Mother rise up with all of her fire, right, and fill our body, and let the Father pour down with this cosmic wisdom, light, and spirit and might, right, into us. And then this is all combined, right, where the Christ is born, okay, the Christic willpower. And this is the true will. As above, so below. As below, so above, right? Combining within it both the powers of the above and below, making the two into one. And how this happens, my friends, is essentially we must open up the space for ascension to happen. Ascension happens at the middle column, where we unlock the doors for the flow of the toroidal field, for the flow of the sun to be activated, okay? So we must open up this column of ascension. This is Christic ascension right here, okay? And that Christic ascension happens when we can bring balance to the Ida and the Pingala. When we can balance the solar side and the lunar side of our physical vehicles, what happens is these disharmonious frequencies, right, that are blocking specific pathways up the being, basically get harmonized. And when harmony is created and we're actually expanded back out to the polarities, the central column, the Sushumna, the chimney, can be risen as the Christ rises inside of you, right? And you are conceived. You are reborn of both the water and the spirit, right? Where is spirit located? Okay, spirit's located in the heart. And, you know, yeah, and basically that's where the Christ is born into. That's where you are conceived. You are conceived up in the third eye, right? Conception happens. And then we sacrifice the lesser self. This is the sacrifice of the God, to allow the true self, which is God himself, right? Not the lesser God, not the lowered God, but the true God himself to be born inside of you. And that's your true self, my friends. Your deepest, your truest self is a full expression of God, basically, inside of you. And that happens by allowing the Divine Father to pour into you, calling up and opening to the Divine Mother, and bringing the earth up to the heavens and the heavens down to the earth, to separate the spirit from the matter, right? And then combine them into gold. And essentially the main point in this that I always want to make, my friends, is that it's a universal teaching, this up and down motion inside of you, to create the illuminated path of ascension. And now this illuminated path of ascension is kind of, it's misconstrued in the sense it's not just rising, it's a two-way flow, my friends. You see, the Merkaba is a two-way flow simultaneously. When the in-breath and the out-breath hold equal balance, right? When there's an equal balance of Shiva and Shakti combined, okay? And this is a two-way flow. Think about the toroidal field, okay? The toroidal field, which is the basis of activation, right? This is what occurs, is this dormant field, right? We allow the mother to rise through the center of the vehicle, right? And the father to pour down into us. And then allow the wheels to start turning. And that process, my friends, essentially what we need to do is create the space for that to happen, to create harmony in the left and right side of the body, to not let your left hand know what your right hand is doing, and to make the two into one, right? So that your true self can be born from the Divine Mother and the Divine Father. We must give birth to ourselves, my friends. This is the mystery of the twice born. Okay. So moving on, the last things I kind of touched on in the previous video was when that occurs, you have breathed the true breath. You have breathed the subtle breath, right? And this is one of radiance. It is one of, brilliance, basically, right? And this is why, like, all these solar figures, whether that's Muhammad, Buddha, Lao Tzu, Quetzalcoatl, Wotan, like all of these individuals, Christ, you know, they're solar figures. They're always depicted with the aura of radiance around them, you know? Think about images of the Buddha. He always has a sun surrounding his aura behind him, right? Think about the images of Christ, always with that halo behind him. They were literally glowing because their etheric bodies were made manifest. Go watch my teaching on, you know, Jesus taught Hermetics, the first one I did. And it talks about bringing the etheric body into being. We must craft that into being. And essentially that when that twice born activation happens, okay, divinity is born inside of you. And this is what the ankh represents. So the ankh in ancient Egypt, right, is a symbol of radiance, of brilliance, of the fiery breath, the spiritual breath is the ankh, okay? And all the gods held the ankh. They were always holding an ankh in one of their hands, right? I forget which hand. And there was even a depiction of Ra, the solar god, feeding Horus, right? The awakened hero, the awakened savior. Solar god feeding Horus the ankh into his mouth. And this is a symbol of taking the true breath, my friends. The true breath, the ankh. And it is basically the pattern of the energetic flow in the being. We see that, oh, okay. So the energy rises, right? It comes up, and then it goes out to the poles, okay? And it goes in this pattern. And the ankh is a symbol of radiance and the true subtle breath. And why all the gods were holding this, and why Ra fed Horus the ankh, right, is essentially because it is a symbol of death to the lower self, death to the lesser me, and a symbol of the true radiance, right? The living aura being born inside of you, to become an online living sun. That is the fullness of the Merkaba activation, is to become an online pumping sun, pumping with the ether of life. Let's see if I have the ankh. No, I don't. So yeah, the ankh, my friends, it was always carried in the hands of divinity because it was a symbol that they were twice born. Okay, now there was tribes of twice born ones, those who were born of the water and the spirit. Okay, and these twice born ones, you can go back to the Qumran Bible, the Egyptian bronze book, and, like, you know, see firsthand accounts of, you know, the perfected initiates who were glowing, who who had a glowing radiance about them, who could show their etheric energy just like Christ could to his disciples, and scared the shit out of them, frankly, you know. And like, that's kind of like the fullness, the highest level of what the Merkaba means, is to bring the spirit living into the matter, and allow the matter to dance in the heavens, and allow the heavens to dance in you to live in the Father, and the Father to move in you, right? It is the merger of the Ka and the Ba, where essentially your actions, your deeds, are not inspired by a lesser self, but in fact by the Ba, the one soul, the eternal permeating field of essence, right? And merging those two into one. Ka almost being like a focused light, and Ba being like the open perceptive awareness. We can also think about it in terms of Shiva and Shakti, okay, in the Merkaba, okay. Shiva is masculine, which is actually this way, okay. And Shiva is empty fullness of awareness. It is consciousness. It is stillness. It is emptiness. It is the empty superior self which we are born into. Manly P. Hall, in the Secret Teachings of All Ages, you know, discussed how spirit, which is like the empty superior self, right, circumscribes like a circle basically, and births himself into lower densities, births himself into the firmaments until we reach his physical vehicle. So holding the fullness of a Shiva awareness means like literally unattaching from this current form, unattaching from all denser realities, and becoming so subtle, becoming so still in your I am, burning the fire of truth, right? And essentially that, holding this container, holding the container of the sun, right? And feeling the edges and allowing the edges to be permeated, right? And allowing Shakti, which is the fullness of all energy. Shakti is all form, it's all power, it's all energy of the universe. Shakti is chi, okay? So imagine having chi like pounding through the vehicle, and holding unconditional awareness and identification in the higher world, to literally hold all matter, all form, all illusion, all energy and power inside of you, whilst remaining true to the deepest essence of your awareness, right? And that's kind of like the two poles of the true breath. And that understanding is really developed and communicated throughout the entire breathwork and energy work package, my friends. That's kind of like where, yeah, I don't really know what I touched on earlier. Maybe a last little note I can add right here is 4 are the sons of Horus, 2 guards of the east and west of Isis. And it's just interesting, the 4 are the sons of Horus, okay? And Horus being the savior. And the 4 is instantly directed, like reflected of the 4 horsemen, okay, in the apocalypse or the revelation. And it's also the chariot of the law, right? The Merkaba from Hebrew is all about, you know, the Merkaba in Hebrew is all about the 4 fixed signs and the 4 like ruling bodies of man, you know. So we have, you know, the emotional body, the mental body, let's see. Yeah, as we spoke on earlier in the vision of Ezekiel. So yeah, my friends, just really like connecting a lot of the ancient knowledge and esoteric mystery together, because honestly, the Merkaba holds so much mystery and so much depth inside of it. Okay, it's not just like a symbol and some simple meditation which we can do to have some, you know, like transcendent experience or like feel some things shifting in our body. Like the Merkaba is kind of the guiding symbol that rests at the end of thine pathway. It is something that is already in existence. This is a key to the energy work, my friends, is you need not like create anything or raise your vibration or bring more chi in. All we must do is realize what is already there and allow it to operate. We must give permission for the Merkaba to exist. We must give permission to our true self to be born. And that permission is the courage to overcome all fear, because it is the sacrifice of the God. It is the crucifixion of oneself. Okay. you know, in faith and love and understanding of the true self, the great self who resides within. So my friends, that was kind of an overview of the esoteric understanding of the Merkaba, right? And with that being said, is this energy work, breathwork package that I made really goes so to fully understand and work with the Merkaba, to really like grasp the subtle energetic like muscle memory and be able to breathe into these patterns, to understand like the cranium and sacrum pumps, the 3 centers of solar light within man, right? And activating those birthing portals. You know, it goes deep, and really it's been a great like work and project of mine over the past like 5-6 months to figure out some way, some system that I can like create and direct people to that really helps, I guess, unfold the full Merkaba activation or understanding of it. Some kind of like staple guideline, you know, to help through that whole process. And that's what this breathwork energy work package is. It's really a gem, and it's the greatest work I've ever really put out there. We're talking like 40 to 50 full length breakdowns of 10 to 12 principal meditations, right? And these principal meditations, are essential at every part, at every stage of, you know, etheric activation, expanding our perception, expanding our awareness of the true self. And it really builds on itself from just basic heavy breath work, you know, like doing the heavy breath, and basically practices that are going to reveal new layers of perception, new layers of awareness, and ability to communicate and observe a relationship between yourself and the ever-present essence of the universe, right? And this package is, you know, loaded with main blueprints under all the meditations, and then audio, you know, guided audio meditations that go right along with it. And all of it is ultimately like leading us, you know, through the solar breath in the lower dantian, the solar breath in the middle dantian, the esoteric pathways of activation, getting into some advanced stuff, cranium sacrum breathing, balancing the poles, all the way up to the Merkaba, right? And this is the third esoteric overview of the Merkaba. And ultimately, I'm just really trying to communicate some of that ancient mystery and this like huge mystery inside of ourselves when it comes to the knowledge of self and like what's going on, to those who are doing the breathing, who are doing the energy work, or are interested in starting. This guide is an up-to-date like modern blueprint. I'm not drawing on some ancient system that, you know, has been translated and lost over the past 2,000 years, that I don't really understand from a completely different cultural lens. But from my own experience, you know, my own deep work in that ancient knowledge, and really just trying to communicate this in a way that's accessible to everyone, you know. Just loaded with quick additions, audio meditations, things that really provide keys to the energy work, tapping into this level of perception where all of this isn't just in the realm of knowledge anymore, but it's in the realm of tangible, spiritual, personal experience. And if we want to have soul initiates out here, my friends, it is all about attaining to supreme personal spiritual experience so that the knowledge can be embodied. Okay, so you can go check out this package, highly recommend it. So much great work, resources, 10 pages of exclusive video breakdowns, guided audio meditations, link in the description for that. But I'm really not here to sell you guys anything. I'm just here to communicate some ancient truths about the Merkaba, my friends, and that there's so much more than what people are talking about out here on the internet right now. It's far more than just like, oh, you bring this triangle down and bring this triangle up, and like you do this breathing in your spine or whatever. I've provided, you know, multiple different meditation techniques with the Merkaba, and whatever level you're at, it's gonna like reveal something. It's gonna take you to new depths of awareness, of activation, of experience. But just know that is the symbol that rests at the end of thine road, right? That is the symbol of, you know, where we're going to. So much could be said about the Merkaba. Here's some more blueprints, but yeah, my friends, this is just kind of what I've been working with, what I've been diving into for years now. Hours and hours of breath work and energy work daily, and this stuff is just like the biggest interest of my soul. the deepest level. So let me know if you like this video. Please drop a comment with your thoughts. Please share this on Facebook groups, on Reddit, you know, wherever you can get this content, get this message out there, and start, like, you know, illuminating the darkness in your own life and in others about this ancient power symbol that is, you know, universal in ancient culture and ancient mystery, and it holds so much power and unlocking in our own understanding and experience. Hell yeah, my friends. If you guys would want to talk to me one-on-one, if you feel called to do that, there's a link in the description where you can apply for a free one-on-one. And also, you know, if you want to see more videos on the Merkaba, please just drop a comment down below. It's 7:07, my friends. Have a beautiful night, and I love and appreciate when you share, hit that like button, leave a comment, and go check out this breathwork package, my friends. 7:07, peace.